blind spot, because there is more to your story. So with that, we are going to welcome up Kelly Olson. If you would please give her a warm welcome.
So good to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces. Thank you, Liz and Danielle, for hosting tonight. You guys did a great job of just letting us know that we're more alike than we are different, right? So I want to take a moment, though, just to celebrate everyone that's here today. I know firsthand that you had to probably overcome some obstacles in order to get here. Physical obstacles, mental, emotional obstacles, family obstacles, but you are here, and just as Liz and Danielle already said, you're here for a reason. It's by such a thin thread that we're all connected. It's by such a thin thread that you're here in this room. And I think it's really cool that never again in history will the 80 women in this space ever be in this space again. Unless we did a reunion next year. But there's a reason that you are here. I want to give a quick shout out to a few ladies that traveled some extra distances. Becky from Indiana. Becky's my sweet friend over there. And Katie from Minnesota. We have friends from Bloomington, Illinois that have joined us, so thank you for being here. And even friends from downtown Chicago, which this is like a trek. So thank you all. We're so glad that you're with us. So how many of you, this is your very first Baton Pass event? Wow. So it's like half the room. That's really exciting. We're so glad to have you here. So you're probably asking the question, what the heck is the Baton Pass? And what's with this theme? There's more to the story. I'd like to answer those two questions so that you know what you're a part of today. The formal answer is the Baton Pass is a non-for-profit organization that empowers women to overcome through the sharing of our stories. The story behind the story, though, is that when I was 20 years old, I heard a woman share her story of overcoming trauma. And it was a trauma that I had experienced. It's a trauma that 1 in 6 women experience in their lifetime. I had never met this woman before, and her story sounded so similar to mine, but the ending was different. My ending had brokenness, blackouts, flashbacks in it, and her story concluded with redemption and healing. And when I heard her story, I remember sitting there, it sparked something inside of me that I could be whole again too. I did not have to remain broken. That woman's name was Lindsay, and in sharing her story, Lindsay passed me a baton of hope. And that's what we're here to do today. So over the next 10 years, after Lindsay shared her story, it just became kind of an internal mission of mine. Anytime somebody had something going on in their life that was heavy and I wanted to encourage them, I would pray, Lord, who else has walked this road that they could encourage this friend of mine? And it gave me so much life and energy to be able to connect those individuals. But in 2017, I rounded up a group of amazing women, and a lot of them are here today. And we realized that events like this could multiply those connections and multiply the hope that was being passed on. So we did our very first event in Wheaton, Illinois on November 12th, 2017. Katie and I were there just setting up, just hoping that people were going to show up. And we had about 45 ladies come to that first event. And ever since then, we've been unleashing the power of stories. So that's the Baton Pass. But you guys might be asking too, well, what's the theme? There's more to the story. Well, I believe that this is a sacred and safe space, so I'm going to go first and be vulnerable, okay? This is really embarrassing to admit, but I just experienced this a little over a month ago. My husband and I, this is my husband Nate running our sound. My husband and I got a day pass in the nicest beachfront resort in the little town that we were staying. And we wanted to make the most of that time. We are 10 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound bag kind of people. And so we arrived right at 9 a.m. when our pass started. And most of the chairs at the pool were already taken and claimed. So we searched all over and found 2 chairs where we could put our towels down and our cover-ups and have like an ocean view. So we did that, we ran to breakfast, and we returned about 90 minutes later, and our stuff was moved, just thrown to the side. Without consulting my level-headed husband, I bulldozed over to these seats that we had reserved 90 minutes ago. This was our one day at this pool. And there was a couple sipping their drinks in our chairs. I walked over there, took a deep breath. Excuse me, I think that stuff, it's ours, and it was on these chairs. Well, the couple said, actually, these chairs belong to the cabana. We rented the cabana, and you get the chairs in front of it. Oh, well, that's special. Nobody told us that. Okay. So we went back and forth for a few minutes, and the husband, Tyler, ended up introducing himself to Nate, trying to keep the ladies cool, I guess. And they agreed that we'd each get one chair. So that was the compromise. After we sat down, I felt a little embarrassed for being such a bulldog, and I went over and apologized to the wife for being so territorial. I got to know her and introduce myself. Her name's Shelly. And we hung out at the pool for 4 or 5 hours getting to know them, and we got to hear more of their story. This is where the embarrassment comes in. We discovered that they weren't supposed to be on this trip. They were supposed to be at home with their newborn baby girl. But a week before the due date, just 6 weeks prior, they lost the baby. It took every ounce of courage for Shelly and Tyler just to show up to that trip. They had experienced the greatest loss of their life, and I was about to pick a fight with her at the pool over a pool chair. If I had only known her story, I would have put down my towel, I would have laid on the concrete if I had to, and I would have sat on the edge of that pool, and I would have cordially greeted her. I would have celebrated her just for showing up. Now, Shelly is somebody that I met once. We're friends now on Instagram, and we message back and forth there. But how many people in our lives do we pass often and never really know what's going on in their lives? The pain that they're carrying and the obstacles that they're facing. Maybe it's the woman that you see often at the gym. Maybe it's the mom that you wait outside your kid's school for that bell to ring. Maybe it's a coworker of yours that seems to have it all together. But in the slowing down, checking, and listening, we're able to see that there is truly more to the story. My hope and prayer is that this event accomplishes one of 3 things for you guys. First, I pray that this helps us see that there is always more to the story. That until we sit down and truly get to hear people, we will only know a small sliver of what's going on in their lives. Instead of making assumptions that, oh, they have it all together, oh, it must be nice, slow down and really listen to them. Second, I pray that as you listen to these stories that are going to be shared today with some very courageous women, that you're able to borrow some of their courage. Maybe even leave this afternoon with your hope refreshed. I pray that you leave confident that regardless of what you're currently facing, whatever you've been through, that there's still more to your story. That is my hope and prayer. And then finally, I really would like, for those of you that have been pushing through like a soldier, just trying to survive, that today would be a day that you could let down your armor just for a moment. That you would allow one other woman, maybe it's the woman to your left or the woman to your right, but one other woman into the pain that you're carrying. Sometimes we need somebody to remind us that our story's not over. My dear friend Danielle Zapchink is going to remind us of this, that there is truly more to the story. Danielle is a friend of mine, a speaker, and a host for the Parable Podcast. I've been honored to, if you're interested in checking out her Parable Podcast, we just had 3 unique Baton Pass messages on